Well, Bitcoin has become a household name of late, and greater adoption of the cryptocurrency does require better infrastructure. Voltage, a Lightning Network payment provider, can share more about the current and future capabilities. And joining me now is Graham Krizek. He's founder and CEO at Voltage. Graham, great to have you on the show, and especially timely considering a recent report that you penned alongside Fidelity Digital Assets. What did it find?
Yeah, good morning. Great to be here. Thanks a lot for having me. We teamed up with Fidelity to bring more awareness into what is happening inside of the Bitcoin and Lightning ecosystem. It's obviously been a really popular time as we've started to really see more crypto adoption start to take off at the start of this 2025. And so we've teamed up to really try and provide more details around what are we seeing from our vantage point. And really, we tried to address a lot of the it kind of cut through the noise of a lot of the different protocols and payment platforms out there and try and show how Bitcoin and Lightning are being really successful and actually providing the promise that was originally created inside of the cryptocurrency ecosystem of means of moving value to anywhere in the world for very cheap and very quickly. And so that's what we're kind of trying to showcase here in this report is it is actually happening, and we're seeing that adoption really start to take off here in the beginning of this year.
How important is the Lightning Network to the use cases of Bitcoin?
I think very important. When Bitcoin was first created, it tried to solve a couple different things, and people like to think about it in a couple different buckets. The two biggest ones are the store of value, so kind of it being compared to this digital gold aspect, and then the second part is a means of payment. So actually moving money, across the world cheaper and faster than any other payment system, especially when you compare it to traditional financial rails. And so the Lightning Network really delivers on that promise of the payment side of things, and being able to move money from the U.S. to France in less than a second and for zero fees at all. And so it really capitalizes on that promise of being able to do more than just the store of value, which it was originally created for. So it's incredibly important to the overall Bitcoin investment thesis, as well as it being used in the broader world for a payment system.
Make that connection there in terms of what it does mean for people investing in Bitcoin for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people, again, there's a couple different ways that you can categorize Bitcoin from the investment standpoint. It really helps broaden its use case from just this kind of digital gold that you buy and then you hold in a vault. It really expands its use case into doing much more than just this store of value play, and it enables us to be able to leverage it to do these more disruptive financial instruments. So being able to do more cross-border payments to really decrease a lot of the cogs that exist in the traditional financial world. So it really helps us to kind of bring more use cases around into Bitcoin, which is, again, what we kind of highlight in the report is Bitcoin in general is not just strictly store of value. It really can solve a lot more problems than that. And that's something that has been really hard for people to wrap their minds around because, generally speaking, as we've seen a lot of either protocols or new technology, it kind of everyone tries to fit it into a particular bucket, where Bitcoin can kind of fit into multiple buckets. And so that ultimately strengthens the investment value of it because it can do more than just be this digital gold that is made to just sit in a vault at all times. It can do a whole lot more than that.
So with a robust Lightning Network, Graham, which is what you work on at Voltage, what are the capabilities, the future capabilities of Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Lightning Network was created to solve that payments use case, like I mentioned. And what you can do with it is you can move money and move value from point A to point B in less than half of a second and do it for zero fees. And so that's a really big breakthrough when you think about financial institutions settling in between themselves, from consumer to institution settlement, all these different things. It enables a much more streamlined way of actually doing the transactions. And so that's what we're showcasing in the report is the ability of it actually accomplishing these goals that it was set out to do. And then as we look into the future, there's things like stablecoins that will be possible on top of Lightning in the couple weeks. And so stablecoins are one of the biggest use cases in the crypto ecosystem more broadly, and being able to bring in one of the most popular use cases inside of crypto into the Lightning Network, which is, again, less than half a second settlement and with near zero fees, it brings kind of the best of both worlds, and it's going to, I think, in our viewpoint, it's going to unlock a huge amount of value in the coming year and years to go by combining those two together, and it'll unlock significant amounts of possibility, especially when we see in like emerging markets and things like that, where people are much more price sensitive to things like fees and settlement times, where people in the US are maybe more elastic for that. So we think it's going to, those two things combining will be a huge unlock in the years to come.
What kind of computing power, Graham, is needed to execute this at the rate that you're planning?
Yeah, that's a good question, especially when we think a lot of the things that people bring up around Bitcoin is like the energy use, the computing power, all of those things. And one of the great things about the Lightning Network is that it enables us to do everything that I've previously mentioned, but do it for marginally any more compute than already exists. The whole Lightning is a peer-to-peer payment system, and so it doesn't require this big global consensus blockchain like Bitcoin does. So we're able to leverage the existing power, mining network, all of those things that exist inside of Bitcoin, and do it for a marginal increase in compute on top of it. And so we're able to unlock all these use cases, do it, and scale this network into virtually infinite amounts of transactions per second, which is something, again, that people always compare against like a Visa or a block of Bitcoin, is the amount of transactions per second. We can scale this to virtually infinite amounts of transactions per second with a very marginal compute increase. And so it's very efficient in that regard, where we don't have to stand up a whole new network with a whole new set of miners or anything like that. Lightning Network uses the existing security that is built into the Bitcoin blockchain, and so it's a big unlock in efficiency as well for the network.
Graham, great to get your take. Again, a joint report between Voltage and Fidelity Digital Assets. That's Graham Krizek. He is the founder and CEO of Voltage.
Thank you.
All right, well, coming up, Crunchbase.